Okay, I just shared my screen. So can you please anyone confirm once you're able to see it? All right. So today we're going to discuss about the maintenance plans. If you remember when we are about to start the backups, at first slide I have shown you what are the different methods we can use to backup a database. And one of the method is a maintenance plan. And maintenance plan, it's not only to back up your database, but you can still do some maintenance activities. When I say maintenance activities in the mean, as a DBA, we need to do certain maintenance on the database in order to make our database or keep our database in healthy condition and it should perform better. So the best example is how you take your cars for a maintenance purpose, for servicing every often. The same way for our databases, it is must and should. We need to perform some maintenance activity to keep the performance up to date. Yes, Ishwar, please go ahead. You can unmute yourself and you can speak out. There's a question from Ishwar. If we compress a backup for huge DBs, does it take long time to restore the DB? No. I haven't encountered any of these situations that SQL taking more time to restore a compressed backup. In production, which option is preferable? With compress or without compress? The recommended is with compress. Obviously, we're gonna get a better results using with compress. Does it take too long to restore the DB? No. In production, which option is preferred? Yes. Again, the same thing. We usually, the compress option been invented from, introduced from SQL 2008, and the main intention of introducing that feature is to make your backups very fast, and I don't think restores will take more time. Okay, there's another question. In production, will be any case to back up the DB to destination as a URL? If you have to back up your databases onto cloud, then yes. Any more questions, Ishwar? Okay, all right. So let us look at the managements, the maintenance plans. In order to create a maintenance plan, you can expand the management and there you can see maintenance plans. You can right click on maintenance plan and then go for maintenance plan wizard. And at first page, it gives you what all the options you can do. You can use this maintenance plan to perform database integrity check, perform index maintenance, update statistics and backups. So these are all four major tasks you can do using the maintenance plans. So provide any name for your maintenance plan. So I say it's let me pick it up for HSBC underscore adventure works underscore maintenance plan. Okay, you can see there is an option. If you want to schedule, once you create this maintenance plan, and if you want to schedule this maintenance plan to run every day or every week, you can use the schedule over here. You can just click on change and provide the schedule, what are the time you want to run it. If you want to run it weekly, then select the weekly. If you want to run it daily, then select daily and provide the what time you want to run it. What else we go with next? And these are all the tasks that can be performed using the maintenance plan. So the first task, let us try to understand one by one here. So the first task, what it gives is, once you check this, once you select the task, it gives you the description about the task, what it does. So check database integrity. So as it sounds, this option will go and check your databases. Inside databases, pages, tables, and then pages. So this command will go and check the pages inside your database to see if there are any corruptions. So it is mandatory, or it is very much recommended for us to keep our databases healthy and not corrupted. So we have to regularly run. When I say regularly, it means at least once in a week. So we need to run this command, check database integrity. So at backend, it executes a command called dbcc check db, and you can provide database name within this. So if I say adventure works in 2012, okay, you can execute it, and this command will go into the AdventureWorks database MDF file into each and every page, and it will check if there are any corruptions. So using this maintenance plan, there is a database integrity check. This command will be run at backend, and if there are any corruptions, it will throw you an error. So this is the output we have got here. You can see, let me minimize this. Okay, you can scroll down and see it does check each and every object inside this database. So in each and every page, there are 32 rows in one page for object product document. So it goes and checks into every page inside the database, and it might be very tough for us to read each and every line in this output. So what we do is we go to the down, and we need to ensure that check DB found zero allocation errors and zero consistency errors. This is what we need to check. If there are any errors, or if any of the page corrupted in your database, then it will show you as so and so number of allocation errors were happen, or so and so number of consistency errors were occurred. And the next is the shrink database, as it provided in maintenance plan, but personally I don't recommend this option to run as a part of maintenance. Shrinking database is what is allocation consistency. It's nothing but the pages were allocated in a proper way, right, inside your MDF or LDF files. The allocation, whether they are allocated in a proper way. It's nothing but the DBCC check DB, the output what it gives is whether your database is healthy or not. If you see errors, then it means there are some issues, there is some corruption in your database. So we need to ensure the zero errors. And for the string database, what it does is when you select string database, if there is any free space inside your MDF file, if there is any free space inside your MDF file, you can reclaim that free space back to your operating system. So in that case, we use the string database, but it is not recommended to run every often. And the next is a reorganize index and rebuild index. So reorganize and rebuild index. These are very specific to your indexes on the table. So when we create a table without any index, we call it as a heap, H-E-A-P, heap. So as it is very exactly, let's assume you have got around a 1,000 pages book and you don't have an index page on it. And if you were asked to browse any topic that is on a page called maybe 580. So as there is no index page, so what you do is we normally flip each and every page from starting one till we find that topic. So it's gonna take more time because you have to read each and every page. And to avoid this issue, we can create an index. We can have, if we have an index page on a book, then obviously we can jump onto that topic very quickly by using that index. So in the same way, in SQL as well, if we create indexes on a table, it will boost up the performance, the read performance. For a user who is trying to read the data from a table which has got indexes, will give a better performance. So we have got two types of indexes, the clustered index and the non-clustered index. I believe I have explained these things at the time of development objects, like when we are discussed about the tables, views. Did I explain the index types? Yep. So when a table is created initially and we have inserted some 10,000 rows in a table. Okay, you have created a fresh table and you have inserted 10,000 rows in a table. So at a starting point, those 10,000 rows will be stored in sorted order. Okay, and now if any user try to read data from the table, it will be more efficient because data is stored in a sorted order. So if a user try to read data from the table, it gonna give a better results. I mean to say, in short time you will get a result. If you keep that index that way, and going forward after a month, in the span of this 1 month, users have inserted, updated, deleted data in the table. So once there are data manipulations happens on the table, the fragmentation gets increased. Fragmentation is nothing but the data is not in a sorted order. I can give a best example. Let's assume we have a library, and in library we have got around 26 racks, one rack for each alphabetic books. So the rack 1 starts with A, the book that starts with A were placed in rack 1, and the book that starts with B were placed in rack 2. So in this way, uh, initially when the day starts, the librarian, he sets up the books in a sequential order. But once people start walking in and walking out, what we usually do is we pick up the best book, whatever we want, we read it, and probably we might not keep that book in the same place. We leave it at some place and we go out, right? Maybe assume it's afternoon time. Already around 10 or 50, I mean 50 people were walked in and walked out. They removed a couple of books and they kept it at a different place. So now if I go to the library maybe at afternoon, and if I want to browse any book that starts from A, maybe a specific book, I could not find it in a fast. It is because already the books were placed here and there. They are not in a sequential order. And again, at the end of the day, the librarian, he has to pick all the books that were left on the table. He has to keep those books in a sequential order so that when people come on the next day, it will be easy for them to pick it up. So in the same way, indexes need to be defragged regularly. So we have two methods to defrag the indexes. One is reorganize index and the other is rebuild index. So when we go for reorganize index and when we go for rebuild index, when you notice the fragmentation percentage of an index in between 5 to 30%, then we go for reorganize index. So what it does is it will just reorganize the values within the space it got. What are the space it got in the page, it will try to reorganize the values. And when you see the fragmentation percentage over 30%, then we need to go for rebuild index. So rebuild index, what it does is it will drop all the existing indexes from the table and then it will recreate them freshly so that we can expect our data in a sorting order. So how do we check whether my index is fragmented or not? So you can use a system DMV. Select star from sys.dm underscore db underscore index physical stats. So this is a DMV. You obviously need to remember this DMV. And within parentheses, the first thing we need to provide the database. What database you want to, on what database you want to find out the fragmentation. So the syntax would be we need to provide the database ID. So I need to check what ID the AdventureWorks database has. So for AdventureWorks, the ID is 8. So provide the database ID followed with, if you want to see fragmentation on a specific table, then provide the table name. Or else if you want to look at all tables information in a database, then you go with saying null. First it should be database, then table, and then partition, then index, and then report. I say I need it in detailed. So execute it. So this is the result. So this is the database ID and this is the object ID. For each and every object, the table, it has got a ID. So that's what is given here. And the next, what are the tables that got the indexes? If you scroll down, scroll right side, yeah. So this is the column we need to look at it. Average fragmentation in percent. So just before I said when you have to go for reorganize index or when you have to go for rebuild index, it's completely based upon the fragmentation percentage. So this is where you need to check the fragmentation percentage. You can see one of my index is fragmented 66%. So if I scroll down, I can see more and more indexes, and one of the index is fragmented 75% and the other is 25%, 28%. So this is all the fragmentation. And having said that, frequent data modifications on a table will cause fragmentation. And when you have a fragmentation on a table, obviously it degrades the performance. The same query, which used to take 10 seconds to execute before fragmentation, okay, the query used to execute in 10 seconds before fragmentation, and now after a month the same query is taking 2 minutes to execute. These type of issues you notice once you join in any company. You might get requests in these ways. The user says that I'm executing the same query. I have executed this query last week. It was executed in 10 seconds, but now it is taking 2 minutes. What's the issue? The issue could be the indexes might be fragmented. So this is one of the scenario we need to check, and the other scenario is the update stats. This is also a crucial part for performance. What update stats contains is when you execute any query, let's say you are trying to read data from table A. If you execute that query on SQL, the SQL try to create some execution plans. Execution plan is nothing but a roadmap, how the SQL has to fetch the results. Okay, so before SQL create a roadmap, how to perform this task, it will create the execution plans based on certain conditions, the statistics. One of the statistics is how many rows the table has. So based upon that statistics, the execution plan will be created, and that execution plan will be executed, and the result will be provided to the user. Assume if my statistics are out of date, then obviously SQL Server will pick a wrong execution plan and it will lead to a performance degrade. The best example is maybe you might see some cricket matches. So whenever a World Cup comes near, the board team will select the team members for a country. So on what basis they select the team? It's based upon the statistics of each and every player, like how he performed for last 10 matches or last 20 matches, how he was good at bowling or how he was good at batting and how he is good at in the field. So based upon all these statistics only, they finalize the players for the World Cup. So assume if these statistics were provided wrong to the board team, then obviously what happens? They pick up a wrong players, and obviously there's a chance you might lose your game. So in the same way for SQL, statistics are very important, and based upon the statistics, the SQL will choose the best execution plan. And if the statistics are outdated, your SQL Server will choose a wrong execution plan, and obviously it's gonna take more and more time. Any questions till now? These two are very important: index maintenance and update stats. And next is a cleanup history. So cleanup history, what it does is, whatever the backups we do, whatever the restores we do on a SQL Server, we know that information will be recorded in a system tables inside MSDB database, right? So we need to clean up that history regularly, or else the system tables will grow huge and huge, and that again create problems. So we need to purge them. So that's what you can do using cleanup history. And the next is a SQL agent job. If you have any specific requirement where you want to execute as part of maintenance plan, maybe application team might get back to you and say, okay, could you please execute this job along with your maintenance plan? So in that case, you can include that SQL agent job along with this maintenance plan. How can we reduce the fragmentation? That's what you either need to reorganize the index or either need to rebuild the index. And next three tasks are.
So,
Yes,
Dinesh, yeah.
yes, Dinesh.
So, as you said, we have to reorganize, but we don't. So, what you'll suggest, the maintenance plan should we do every day or once in a week?
It
So,
depends. Usually the standard is we do every week on weekend. If you think your database is OLTP and happening very frequent changes, then obviously you might need to do it every day.
Okay, that's one because sir, if we do maintenance plans weekly, so we'll not get to know whether the data is fragmented or not. If the, that was
Yeah, by
so,
default we try to do it on weekend because running the index organize or rebuild index obviously will keep load on the server, so we don't want to do those things on business days. So we do them on weekends. But if your database is OLTP, I mean it's getting changed very frequently, then obviously you will see more fragmentation on tables in a less time, and that gonna degrade your performance. So in that situation you might have to run the index optimizations maybe once in a day or 2 days at least.
okay, okay, fine, fine. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. And the next is a backup full. If you want to backup your database full backup, then you can select this one, or if you want to do a transaction log, then you can select this one. So what I do is to explain you here, I gonna select check DB, then rebuild index, then update stats, and then I gonna select database backup. So these are the 4 tasks I have selected here, and I can go to next. So just let's list out what all the options we have selected in our previous window. The check DB, that's database integrity, and the rebuild index, update statistics, cleanup history, and a full backup. So if these will be performed in sequential order. Once you done with this maintenance plan, and if you run it, it will do it in a sequential order. First the integrity check will happen, then rebuild index, then update stats, then history will be clean up, and then after a full backup will be taken. If you think that okay, I want to move the cleanup history as a last step, then you can still do that. You can select the bottom one and then just select move up. You can change the flow of the task. Okay, and you can go on to next, and now it gives a separate wizard for each and every task that you selected in the previous. So this is for database integrity check. On what databases you want to do integrity check? Either you want to do it on all databases, you can go with this option. If you want to do only on system databases, then you can select the second option. Or else if you want to do on all user databases but not system databases, so in that case you can go for third option. Or else maybe you have got on 30 user databases but the requirement is to do on any specific 4 or 5 databases, then you can go with the last option and select the appropriate database, whatever you want to do it, and you can go with OK. So you are done with the integrity check setup, and then go to next. And this is for rebuild index, and again we need to select on what database you need to run this index rebuild. So again I select the AdventureWorks database because I don't have indexes on any other user databases. So I go with OK. And the second is, do you want to perform index rebuild on all the tables inside this database, or do you have any specific tables you want to perform? So you can go to tables, and then if you want to run index rebuild on all the objects, then you can go with the all objects, or if you have any specific requirements, you can go with the specific requirements. So for now I will be selecting all objects. And you can see here there's a free space options. Its free space is nothing but every index page inside your database. Do you want to hold some free space among those pages? If yes, then you can provide saying that okay, I want to reserve 20% free space. That means in each and every page in your database, 80% will be utilized for data and 20% will be left for next coming transactions, just to make a room. Again, going back to example of a library, the rack A is very specific to the books that start from letter A. Okay, but still librarian, what he does is he keeps some extra space in the rack A. It is because there might be new books coming in near future that starts with A, and he need to put those books in rack A, right? So that is the reason. In the same way, in database, in each and every page, SQL also reserves some free space in the page, so that in near future, if any new data coming in, it try to fit the data on those pages. And the next is the advanced option, sort results in TempDB. So the index rebuild and index reorganizations, those are extensive tasks. They put load on the server. So we have a chance to perform those actions in TempDB database. If you select this one, the TempDB space will be used for sorting the indexes. And the next is a keep index online. In our older versions, we don't have this option. When you do index rebuild, the indexes will be dropped and recreated, right? So during that time, if any user is trying to access the table, he cannot use the indexes. The indexes will not be used. But starting from I think 2008, we have got index online indexes, where even though you are dropping and recreating indexes, at the same time, a user, if we try to pull out data from the table, the indexes will be used. And if your question how, if I'm dropping the indexes at my side, and at the same time if user is trying to read data from the table, how the index is being used? It is with the help of versioning. SQL Server, when you select online indexing, SQL Server will store a copy of those indexes temporarily for the time you rebuild them. And in the meantime, if any user trying to read data, those indexes, whatever stored for temporary purpose, those indexes will be used. So you go on to next. I keep it as default. And update stats. The next is the update stats. On what database you want to run the update stats. And again, it is required. What are the tasks I'm performing in now? It is required to run on all databases. So for now, I've selected only one database here. Okay, you can go to next. And this is for full backup. And we are much familiar about these options. So we need to select what database you want to back it up. So I select AdventureWorks. And the other thing we need to look at is, you can see the path over here. So this is the path where it's gonna write the backup file. I don't want to write backup files onto this location, so I can change it to D, where I have specific folder for backups. And then after, you see other option, create a subdirectory for each database. That means if, as of now, I'm taking only one database backup. Let's say I'm taking couple of databases backups. So in this case, if I select this option, SQL will create two different folders for these two databases. One folder for AdventureWorks and one folder for the other database which I picked up. So it creates a folder for each and every database. So that's the only option you're gonna get with this. And the next is a verify backup integrity. Again, once the backup being finished, if you want to check whether your backup file is healthy or not, you can check this option. And the last is, do you want to use a compressed backup or not? So obviously I will go with compressed backup. And you can go to next. And the next is a history cleanup. You can see the backup and restore history, SQL Server agent job history, and then maintenance plan history. So how often you want to delete the history from your system tables? So by default, it says at least 1 month, that is 4 weeks. Whatever the data that is older than 4 weeks will be deleted. So if you want to change it, you can change it accordingly. You can go on to next, and if you want to record the ongoing maintenance things, like when you run these maintenance plans, if you want to log the information at back end, you can save those things into a text file. It's just a logging information. And you can go on to next and then click on finish. So this will create a maintenance plan. It will not run a maintenance plan. It just creates a maintenance plan for you. And the other thing which we need to notice is when I create the Adventure Works maintenance plan, at the same time, a SQL agent job will also be created. You can see under jobs, a job is also created. So if you want to run this maintenance plan every week, you can just schedule this job. In our next class, I will take you through how to schedule and how to create the jobs. But for now, do remember that in order to schedule a maintenance plan, obviously you find a job created for it. You just need to schedule that job. So for now, what we do is we try to run the maintenance plan manually. So if you want to run the maintenance plan manually, either you can just right click on this job and select start. Okay, this is the one option. And the other option is you can directly right click on the maintenance plan and select execute. So before that, let me show you the backups folder. Okay, let me delete all the files from here. And now I execute the maintenance plan. So the maintenance plan is now started. So what it does is it will first it will run the integrity check on the database, and then after it will do index rebuild. Then after it runs the update statistics, and then it takes the full backup of the databases. So backup is our last step. So where it gone? It went. Okay, it is here. You can see it got succeeded. So you can close and go to the backup folder. You can see this is the way. It created two separate folders for each database. You can open the folder and you can find the database backup along with timestamp. So it does write the backups along with timestamp, so it would be easy for you to identify. Even though you move this backup file anywhere, it would be easy for you to identify by looking at the name when it was taken. So this is all about the maintenance plan. So any questions? So let me show you the report file where it logged everything. You can see this is the report file. You can open it and check. You can see here the first one we have selected is the database integrity check. So this is the command being used. Okay, and there were no errors with that. And then after it performed index rebuild. So these are the commands that it executed at backend for each and every index in these tables inside the database. So it has executed all these commands at backend for you. And let me go to bottom. Okay, and at one step we asked it to take backup. So these are the steps it used to back up the databases, and then as a last it tried to delete the data from your history tables. So if something goes wrong with your maintenance plan, you can always come to this file and check what got failed, and it even records the error message as well in this file. There's a question from Venkat. In real time, while creating maintenance plan, do we plan for all databases or selected databases? Usually we do for all databases, but again, if you have 100 databases on the instance, okay, probably we need to create at least maybe 2 or 3 maintenance plans just to divide the databases. Or else if you try to create you can still create one maintenance plan to do for 100 databases, but it will be a continuous load on your server. So what you can do is you can redistribute 50 databases on one day and 50 databases on one day. Maybe 50 databases on Saturday and 50 databases on Sunday. You can do that way. But in general, we always select all database on instance. So the same maintenance plan, if you want to run it for every week on Saturday evening 7 p.m. So you can use the same job. You can go to the properties of this job. On left hand side you see schedules. Go to directly to schedules and then new and name it something like I want to run it weekly, right? Weekly on Saturday. You can give any name here which should have proper meaning. So it's a weekly. I need to run it on Saturday at 7 p.m. So just change these settings. Okay. So once you click OK, from now onwards, every Saturday at 7 p.m., this maintenance plan automatically runs. Okay, the next thing we're going to see about the SQL Server agent. If you expand the agent, we can see jobs, alerts, operators, proxies. All these information will be stored inside the MSDB. And the first thing is the jobs. What we can do using these jobs? We can automate. We can automate the administrative tasks. We can automate the process related tasks. Whatever the thing, if you want to automate it, you can use jobs. Having said that, if you are asked to take backup at early morning 3 o'clock for a database, then we are not going to sit, or we are not going to uh, just sit idle till 3 a.m. in the morning to just kick off a backup. So what we can do is we can create a job and schedule it to run 3 a.m. So automatically SQL itself runs the job when the clock ticks 3. And the next is the alerts. Let me take you through the PPT. So SQL Server agent is also a service. We have seen it while installing the SQL Server, and I will show you, Venkat, about that, how to check the history of the job. So the agent contains jobs, alerts, operators, proxies. So job is nothing but if you want to automate and schedule the tasks that need to be run on your instance, you can use the jobs. And events and alerts are nothing but when something happens in your SQL Server, like the database is running out of space, or the database is offline, or a login got failed. So in those cases, a alert would be a message. A alert is nothing but a message that will be sent through an email to the DBA group. If a database is offline on your instance, A alert is nothing but a message will be sent from your SQL server to your group saying that so and so database is offline. So please go and check. And operators are the ones who receives those emails. So in this case, DBS are the operators. An operator can be a single person or a group of persons. So what are the different ways we can use for SQL jobs? Whatever the options we have selected in maintenance plans, like DBCC check DB, that's a database integrity check, index rebuild, index reorganize, or update stats, or backing up the database. If you have scripts for those things, instead of maintenance plan, you can use only SQL jobs, but you need to have scripts. But I personally say that maintenance plan is very easy. You don't need to write any scripts. You just select the options, and SQL itself, you just saw that when I opened the report file, the notepad, you saw that SQL itself generates the scripts and executes it at backend. And there are a couple of high availabilities. That's a replication and log shipping. Those high availabilities will use the SQL agent jobs. They depend upon the SQL agent jobs. So let me create a sample job. Let's say we have to take a backup of the CRM database. Okay. So what we do till now, we are using a GUI, and probably I was using the scripts. So let me try to show you using GUI so that we can generate the script from there. So go to task, backup. I'm just trying to show you how to automate the things. So this way we do it manually, but we want to automate it, right? So on top of, once you select all the options, on top you see script action to new query window. So I've got a script at back. So this is the script. So now what I do is I copy the script and I go to jobs, and in order to create a new job, right click on jobs and select new job. And for what purpose I'm going to create this job is to backup database called CRM, right? So I name it as backup CRM database, and then you can go to steps and select new step, and here I will be pasting the query. What are the query I have copied here, I have pasted it on this location, and provide the step name. So I say it as backup. Okay, so that's it. On left hand side you see advanced. Select advanced. So here we have got couple of actions. On success, if your backup gets succeeded, what do you want me to do? That's what your SQL job is asking. What you want me to do once the backup gets succeeded? So I say just quit or come out saying that job got succeeded. Okay, what if the backup gets failed? So I say it to quit the job reporting failure. Okay, so once you are done with this, you can click on OK, and now you have provided the script for it to run. The next is to schedule. So let me schedule it. It's 5:49 p.m. now, so I provide just a name. So I say it daily, and I change the time to, it's 5:50, right? So I change it to 5:51, so that it should execute in next minute. So I have created the job. So if you go and check the backup path, I don't have any backup files for CRM. So I don't have any backup files in this location. So within a few seconds this job runs. So to answer your question, Venkat, in order to check the history of the jobs, either you can right click on the job and go for view history. Okay, so as of now this job did not run, so it was not giving anything, but within few seconds once it runs you will get an entry over here. So just wait for few seconds. Yeah, it's 5:51. What is the schedule I used? Is it AM or PM? Probably I have used AM. Let me check it. The schedule. Yeah, instead of PM I have used it AM. So that's the reason it not ran. So let me change it to 5:52 PM. Okay, now I'm sure it's PM. Okay, so once my time changes to 5:52, it should take a backup in this location. You can see here at 5:52 a backup was taken, and at the same time the history was recorded here. If you see a green color check mark, that indicates your job got succeeded. Okay, so how it shows if the job got failed? So let me intentionally change the syntax and make it fail. So I'm going to change the syntax. So I add something called 123. Okay, so this should fail now, and I can manually kick off this job as well. So instead of scheduling it again, I right click and do a start, and you can see it got failed. If you click on this, it will not give you the information why it got failed. It says you to check the history. So go back to the job and select view history, and here you can see here the first one got succeeded with green color right symbol, and the second I intentionally used a wrong syntax, so it got failed with red color X. So in order to check for what reason it got failed, you can expand this job and then go to this step 1, and you can at bottom you can scroll down and it gives you the why the error, what's the error, and you can read it here. It says incorrect syntax near the keyword database. So it clearly says that there is a syntax error in your command. So if you see these type of errors, you need to check your syntax whether you have written it right or not. There's a question from Danesh. Should we run jobs regularly or maintenance plan? See, again, we have been provided multiple options in SQL. Whatever you think is easy. Having said that, personally, the maintenance plan easy for you to set up. You don't need to write any scripts, right? So in that case, you can go for maintenance plan. If you are very good at scripts and you don't want to use maintenance plan, then you go for creating a jobs. From Venkat, do we need to script necessary? Do we need script necessary to automate the job? Yes, obviously. If we have to run anything through job, we either need to have a script that we can integrate into the job and run it. And for all the administrative tasks, you can script it out. Not only just for backup, even for restore also. Let me show you. I'm going for a restore scenario here, and I'll select a backup file. I'm selecting this backup. Okay, maybe it's not right one. Backups. Okay, I name it to CRM123 and then go to files and then go to options. I leave it with restore with recovery. Now before you click OK, if you want to generate the script, again you go to the on top and you can find script and select new query, and at back you can find out the script. This is what the script you can have it. So you can, instead of going with GUI, you can generate the script and you can run it. Did I answer your question, Venkat? Perfect. Either we can use maintenance plan or you can use jobs to automate maintenance tasks. In maintenance plan, we were provided with restricted options. Okay. If you have to insert 10 rows in a table, and the requirement is you have to insert those 10 rows maybe night at 11 o'clock. Okay. So you want to automate it. You don't want to sit in front of your, you don't want to sit in your office to till late night to run off that query. So what you can do is you can create a job with that script and schedule it to run at 11 p.m. And that is not possible using the maintenance plan. In maintenance plan, it is very restricted. You can only run certain commands that been provided, either check DB or index rebuild or reorganize. So those all the, what are the listed options, you are restricted to use only those. But what are the commands have said, maybe user want to update data maybe in midnight. So in that case, you can create a job and insert the script, the update script in that job and schedule it to run. And for alerts, proxies, I will take you through those in our next class. So if you don't have any questions, I would like to close it for now. So guys, any questions? Yep, all right. So thank you very much. And, we'll be back tomorrow.